There's one common thing between companies like WhatsApp, TikTok, Spotify, Notion, Slack. Can you think what it is? It's the growth in their initial early stages. And they did not grow by spending millions and billions of dollars in advertisements, in marketing. They did something very differently. And that something is now used as a buzzword in marketing: growth. And a lot of times, growth gets confused with performance. There's a huge difference because performance, it needs ad spending. It focuses on the lower part of the funnel, while growth is system thinking, design thinking, where we connect multiple siloed processes together and create a system or a design which focuses on not just acquisition, but retention, monetization, and things like that. You must have come across a lot of job openings, job description, and also sometimes people in their LinkedIn profile, they put titles like growth hacker, growth manager, growth marketeer, growth this, growth that. But if you dive a little deeper, you will realize those are all performance roles because they are just looking at direct response campaigns. They are looking at CRM systems. They are focusing on how do I get my customer in and send them a lot of remarketing materials, maybe hoping that they will convert and bring some people with them. That is not growth. In performance, it's a part of the growth, don't get me wrong, but it's not the whole story. So today I thought I'll do a quick video just to touch base on the basic differences between growth, performance, digital marketing, or marketing in general. Because once you are clear on what growth is, what growth hacking is, or growth marketing is, you can do a better job in terms of creating those systems and designs where every user you bring in adds to your overall scale growth. And that's the compounding part of the growth that a lot of people don't talk about, because growth is not just going in a linear direction, thinking about campaigns and ad copies and ad tags. It's creating those systems where you bring in the user, and that's where the actual system starts working. Let's start with the basics. Let's try to understand what exactly is growth marketing. And to answer that question, that what is growth marketing, we need to answer what it is not. And the thing is that as marketeers, because we think in a certain way, and it's been decades, if not centuries of training, the mental training, where we created those systems and the processes which were catered to the traditional way marketing used to be done, where we used to look at isolated campaigns. Let's do a print campaign, let's do a product campaign, let's do some radio, let's throw in some digital social media and things like that. But again, those are all very siloed. A lot of times the marketing teams, they don't talk to the product or the sales teams, and what happens is, because of that, another problem that comes up is siloed operations, because marketing is not talking to the product team, product is not talking to the sales teams. They don't know what's going on, what's working, what's not working. The marketing jobs is what? Looking at the funnel, create some awareness, bring in considerations, get some acquisitions, and after that, the product team's job is to, before product team, it's the sales team job probably, is to convert those users, to get through the whole onboarding cycle. After that, the product team needs to think about what are the things that they need to improve so that the retention, it stays with the company, and the users, if they can stay happy and hopefully bring in more users. But then again, no one is talking to each other, so they are just working in their own system. And what happens is, this whole thing, it leads to linear improvement. And by linear, I meant one step at a time. It will look like you are going gradually, but it's like as soon as you stop your campaigns, as soon as you stop the whole marketing funnels, or stop pushing a lot of money, pumping a lot of money into the market or the ads, your growth just halts, it stagnates. So that is the biggest problem with the traditional way of marketing, because you have a funnel, and after the funnel, once a user hits the acquisition stage, or whatever the last click attribution you are after, your job is done and the cycle just ends there. There is no cycle, actually. We call it a funnel. However, when it comes to growth marketing, we are building dynamic systems. And when I say dynamic system, it's like, say, for example, we are talking about virality, we are about network effect, where people talk to other people when they are happy, they are loyal customers. So loyalty in terms of your overall CRM is a part of your growth marketing ecosystem. So you create those loops, your systems where things tend to go viral, be it your communication, be it the product or something that you did for your customers. They should be talking about it, and that also helps build that network effect where one person is talking to the other person because they need each other. A very good example could be, say, WhatsApp, which we will cover later, but this is how the dynamic systems work, because, well, they are linked to each other and helping each other out so that you move away from linear growth and to something even better. And this also helps with, say, something like unified design thinking. And what is that unified design thinking? It's because the journey I was talking about, there is no cycle in traditional way of thinking of doing marketing. So there is a funnel, and after acquisition, the funnel just breaks, the cycle just ends. Like I keep saying, the cycle doesn't exist in traditional way of thinking. So we just work on, say, one part of the funnel at a time. We talk about the awareness part, that how do we create awareness, how do we create those top of the mind recall, and that thing that goes into changing the user motivation and psychology over the product that you are trying to sell. And then someone else will be focusing on the consideration side there. How can we convince them they should at least give it a shot, give it a try, talk about it, think about it, and then finally hopefully convert them. But these systems, again, these funnel, the part of the funnels, they're not talking to each other, they are not feeding into each other. That's where there is no unification in the system. And a lot used to happen, and not just happen, it's like you can blame a lot into lack of digitization of things, which has changed since digital marketing has taken over. However, we are still just looking at data to feed into the three parts of the funnel. Now it's broken down into, say, 6-7 parts. Now we have reverse pyramid and hourglass shapes and things like that. Not the same. In unified design thinking, you have experimentations going on. You are designing the system based on the insights that you get from overall flow of communications and the user journey, right? And you iterate, and you change something, you experiment again and see what works. A/B testing is something that all marketers talk about, but growth system, they think beyond just A/B testing. It's constant experimentation that they look in. And by doing that, we move away from, say, a linear growth that we were talking about when it comes to the traditional marketing thinking, and we move towards compounded growth. Compounded growth, anyone who has read about compounding, usually stock markets, investments, and people who are into those things, they talk about it a lot. But yeah, small changes over time, they result into much bigger outcome. So what we are doing with growth is that we make those smaller changes here, so that the growth in the beginning looks a little slower than what it looks with consistently putting money to campaigns. But when it compounds over time, after a certain point of time, after a threshold is met, after the virality and the network and the retention loops have started working for you, you see that impact of compounding, where now your growth is not in percentage or decimals, it's in folds, like 5-fold, 10-fold, 24. That's exactly what happens when things go viral. Let's look into some more granular details, some concrete examples of how things that you do with traditional marketing is different from things that we do with growth marketing. So for example, traditional marketing is very campaign driven, just talked about that, but growth marketing is more into experiments. They want to learn by doing things, and then that feeds into traditional marketing just working into silos. Product marketing and sales, they are just talking to their own systems, they are not feeding each other. However, in growth marketing, everything is product integrated, everything revolves around product. There is one product, and then you have marketing, your sales, your support, everything that goes into that one. When it comes to traditional marketing, we do look at immediate ROI, because I start running some performance campaigns now, and I will be focusing on the ROI that I get today by doing those campaigns today. However, when it comes to growth marketing, it's compounding growth, and I just explained it to you that those are those small changes atomic habits which compound over time, and the outcomes are in folds, not just in percentages. We're talking about 5x, 10x, 20-fold growth when we start implementing those growth systems. Similarly, a lot of people we started this whole video by talking about how a lot of people think about performance as growth or growth as performance. It's not actually, because performance marketing, its focus is more on CTRs, sales, ROAS, CPM, CPCs, a lot of vanity metrics as well. However, growth focuses on systems. It focuses on things like referrals, retention, virality, how big of a network that you can create of loyal customers who can talk about you. Performance is one of the components of growth marketing. It is not separate, because when we talk growth, awareness, consideration, acquisition, conversion, retention, loyalty, all part of the funnel, or the hourglass shaped funnel that we know about. It's all a part of the growth. These are tools, these are components of growth. And what happens is that with growth, we usually redefine the way things have been done with traditional marketing. It reworks the whole marketing architecture, I would say. So what happens is that, for example, we bring in more users in the awareness funnels. After that, some of them will convert to considerations that even consider the product, who will have some top of the mind recall around the product that you are selling. And then out of that, the funnel gets narrower, because now we will acquire some people out of that. But the thing is, after that, the whole system, it just stops working, because it's a funnel, right? There's no cycle. Nothing is this whole acquisition that we are talking about, nothing is going to feed back into the funnel. If it can feed it back into the funnel, then we have a cycle, we have a loop. However, when it comes to growth, we have the whole cycle of things, the whole loop around how can we bring in more acquisitions, retain them, and monetize the whole thing. So the thing is that when we talk about growth, it's not funnel thinking, it's more about equations, that what do we create, what kind of loops that we create that can be in a constant motion, which feeds from one point to another and repeats itself, if you know what I mean. Because let's say, for example, I have acquisition coming through virality, then out of that I'm retaining them through network, because now people are used to using my product, because other friends are also using it, just like your Instagram, any social network app that we can see. Because once you are on the app, you have other friends on the app, you have a network now, and because of that network effect, you have to keep going back to the same system. If a country doesn't have enough WhatsApp users but Telegram users, it'll be difficult for the Telegram users to convert to WhatsApp, because most of their network is on Telegram. Same goes with if a country has more WhatsApp than Telegram. And once that happens, you have referral cycle as well, because in the referral loop, people will get more friends to join in it. Because if I want to talk to my family, and most of my network is on WhatsApp, my family, if they can be on WhatsApp as well, it'll be great for me, because I won't have to switch to another app. So that's how this whole ecosystem, the growth equation, works. So now that we have stood what goes inside the equation, we can look into some examples so that the whole concept is clearer to you. A very good example, I have been talking about WhatsApp right now. You can replace it with, say, Telegram as well, or TikTok maybe, right? So the trigger to get WhatsApp here is have a simple way to text. Should be simple, should be friendly, and should be free as well, right? So that's a very simple trigger. And the action that I have to do, or my customers or my users need to take, is just download texting, as simple. The other part of this loop that we are building is also a reward. That why do people do that? They download X and text, because first of all, there are no ads. It's very easy to use, a simple UI. You have your friends, your family, you just click their name and you start talking to them. And that leads to sharing as well, because you are using it and a close set of friends are using the same app, you would want more of your friends to come to the same ecosystem. Because if everyone is using 10 different type of apps, it'll be very complicated for everyone. It's better that you have a democracy here, and among all your friends and family members, you decide, oh, this is the one app that I want to use. So what happens is that we have now built a WhatsApp has a loop now where every new user potentially invites. So you see how the referral, the network is growing here, because now you don't have to spend a lot of advertisement money which goes into marketing. You have a system which is feeding it to itself. You get a lot of feedback. Another loop type that you can use is feedback loop to improve your product consistently, which is one of the important loops. We will talk about all the type of growth loop later in some other video, but I hope you got my point, that this is how the loops work, where you don't have to spend money advertising into promoting, because your customers do that for you. Another example that we can talk about is, say, a retention loop for Apple Watch. And the trigger is tracking activity, action you wear and get active. It's as simple. Reward is dopamine hit, because when you see those numbers going up and down, and then you see that you have achieved something, you will get those badges and all. That's your reward. That's the dopamine that I'm talking about. And then when you get those badges and your achievements, you start sharing that. And the sharing creates the retention loop and also brings in some virality and network effect. So the loop here is, I have a daily usage, then it links to my habits, and that helps me with long-term retention. Now the other thing is that, why should I even care about growth? Because my expertise, my skill is in marketing. And I strongly believe, because Philip Kotler said, these are the ways where you can have a successful marketing campaigns and bring in sales, not growth. I will not say it's growth. But what happens is that because everyone is doing that, everyone is chasing after the same person, the loyalty it's showing a lot. And that's because of that we have 3 problems that we need to work on. And that's why we should be serious about growth marketing. Number 1 is that because ads, they're getting expensive. The CPMs are growing, the CPCs are going, CTRs coming down with AI especially. Let's say AI overviews as an example. No one was prepared for that, right? So SEO folks, they had this whole setup going on, and you are getting a lot of organic traffic to your website, acquisitions as well. Now what? Everyone is worried about that one. So things can change, the ecosystems can change, ads can get more expensive as the competition chips in, because everything is biddable. Your competitor can always bid more than you. So that's one problem where you should be focusing on growth instead of just marketing. The other one is attention span, because with, say, social media platforms, most of the advertisement money goes into social media. Why? Because it's got 90-95% penetration. And if everyone is on social media, be it TikTok or Instagram or any other channel, Snapchat, for example, and every single advertiser is there, the attention span from, say, 5 seconds per scroll has come down to, 1-2 seconds. So people don't stay on one single screen for more than a second or so. They keep scrolling, swiping left, right, whatever they do. so the attention span is shrinking. So what do we do in all that noise that is there, with everyone trying to get that minor bit of attention that people give to social media and ads within social media? What would you do? You have to focus on systems, right? You have to focus on people who are already in your system. How can you use them to grow and make them your advocates? And the third one is copycats, because once you have an ad strategy, you have, say, a really nice ad going on, or a really nice successful performance strategy going on, where, let's say, you have certain targeting which are working for you, right? It might become a case study, and the people that you rely the most on, Meta and Google, to get more advertisers to spend more on that strategy, they will just publish the case study and tell everyone about it, that this is the targeting that you should be using. So, you can't do anything about it, because this is not IP. The targeting strategy is not IP, and you can just copy it for. But if you have a system, you have a moat where you have loyal customers, people talking about you in a very positive manner, that's where things work out for you very well, because then you don't have to worry about whatever the competitor is doing, because now you have a moat where you have an army of loyal customers, advocates who will talk for your product to their friends, and the whole network it grows. It's like a pyramid scheme, right? So one guy, he invites 5 other guys, all of those 5 people, they invite 5 more each, so the network grows. And no matter how much money you pump into advertisements, performance marketing, direct response campaigns, yeah, it will not be able to beat the system that you have created with growth. So the ending note on this one is, and I hope that you got the baseline of what goes into growth marketing, is that first of all, we have to stop thinking in terms of campaigns. We have to work on systems, designs. Do you really think that say Airbnb, they just did one big campaign like Dip Bears, Diamonds or forever? No, it doesn't work like that anymore. Yes, communication is key. Communication is key to motivate people, to change their psychology, to make them think positively about your product, at least till they use it. Once they start using it, it's all comes down to how good your product is, how good the experience is. So here you go. That's my point. So you need to focus on systems, not just campaigns or the tactics that comes with, say, performance or organic campaigns like your SEO or social media management. These are all tactics. But till the time you have a system feeding into each other, that's where growth happens. I hope I helped you understand the basic concept of growth marketing and how it's different from traditional or even performance, which people confuse growth with. Because what I'm thinking is that I will dig deeper into how to implement these growth systems, the design thinking, the business thinking behind your compounding growth. So maybe something around how can you create those loops, macro, micro, also create those user journey systems where one part of the journey is feeding into the last part and the part which comes next. So things like that. If you like this video, feel free to subscribe and leave any comments if you're confused about anything, or if you want me to cover any certain topic, I'll be happy to do that. So yeah, see you in our next video. Cheers.